Obviously a frustrating defeat, Ty. Just some of your thoughts after that game.
I believe the lads did enough to get at least point minimum, and I don't think it'd be wrong to say we created most of the chances, so it would have been fair to get a win today. So yeah, the lads are disappointed, but they played well, so taking the positive out of the game, we played well, so I'll take that away from it.
Obviously, positive-wise from the game, had multiple chances second half, especially attacking wise, and with your players linking up really well, especially on this right hand side, cutting in and finishing as well, especially that second goal from Jazz. What is your sort of ideology around that in terms of how they work it and how they move?
Yeah, when my instructions are when my wide men are 1v1, I've asked the lads not to get involved, not to bring more pressure over to their side. So if they're 1v1, I want them to win their 1v1 battles and show the stuff in their off. And you can see Jazz there, he's scored his goal and he's just lit up the place after that. He's grown in confidence, and fair play to him. He was unplayable today. Every time he touched the ball, they didn't know whether he was going inside, outside. And same on the other side. Obviously I had to change the wingers a bit through to injuries, which ain't ideal, but that's football for you. But yeah, very pleased with how the lads perform individually today and as a team.
Post game, heard you obviously chatting with Jazz about sort of getting at people. Yes, he's only scored the one today, but sort of building on that, and obviously if he doesn't score, keeping his confidence high. How do you do that as a coach, try and keep your players confident? It's
tough because confidence is a big part of football, and you can't just wrap confidence up and say, yeah, have some of that. So you got to talk to your players, and you got to give them the confidence. If whatever you can give them, you give it in, whether it's words or whether it's actions and training. But you do what you can, and you give them compliments, and you give them a little kick up the backside when they need it. And I think that's all part of it. And if they're playing with confidence, then they're really good players.
Obviously, defensively today, a little bit frail at times during it, especially after you just scored and then conceding down the other end. What can be done a little bit different maybe to engage them more and try and defend a little bit better?
Well, to be fair to him, I can't say too much. I'm asking a few of them to play out of position today due for selection reasons. We didn't have many out-and-out centre-backs in the team. So, yeah, there was a few through balls which they countered on, which most of their goals came from actually us giving the ball away, and then they've sliding good free passes, and we got caught out of the position, and the lads scored a good hat-trick today. But I can't be too harsh on them. Like I said, they're not natural centre-backs. I've asked them to do a job for me today, and I think they've done well, besides obviously letting in 3 goals. But yeah, I can't really say much about that.
Just moving on slightly into your training and obviously getting the boys in. You mentioned a few of them were unavailable today due to perhaps lesson-wise. How important is it to keep them on the pitch and keep them sort of playing, because it's obviously massive for them and important for them to develop as people?
Yeah, it's obviously football's massive because for myself even, you get a lot of freedom in football. It's kind of your therapy. It takes you away from whatever's going on in your life, but ultimately it's a college program, and they need to be up to scratch with the academic side. And sometimes this is going to take a bit of a knock-on effect. If they're playing catch-up, then I understand the football is going to take a bit of a hit. But if they can stay on top of the classroom work and then make sure they're available for the Saturday, then win-win for everyone. I want all my players available. I want a whole selection of lads. I don't want them to be held back because they've got a bit of work to catch up. But I understand the work side comes first, and they need to get that done before they can do anything else, because that's what's required from them.
You've made over 500 appearances in semi-professional and then professional football. What would your message be to the boys to try and get to that level that you're at in terms of playing for Our Church, playing for Starbridge, playing for Cheltenham, those high up clubs?
Yeah, I mean, I always believed you got to give everything in everything you do, not just in football, everything in life. I mean, what's the point just doing something half-heartedly? And I think that's something that was ingrained by me from growing up with my parents. I think my mum, she made me do my best in everything. So I try and instill that into the lads. I mean, just be the best you can in everything you do, and then, because why not? What's the point doing anything if you're not going to do it the best? And I took that into football, and I think over the years, obviously I didn't go down the natural path. I played non-league, and some of these lads will have to play non-league, but the fight's never over. If you keep going, keep giving everything you got every week in, week out, training, matches, then they might get a lucky break, and if they're good enough, they will maintain that standard as they rise up in the leagues, and that's really all that makes a good person as well as a good footballer.
Jazz, obviously frustrating defeat today for your team. You scored a goal though, brilliant finish where you cut in field and buried it into the near post. What's your overall thoughts on today's game?
I think we put our all in, but at the end of the day, we couldn't get the job done. But we had a few people out of position, but we put our all in, and you get me, we couldn't get the job done at the end of the day.
Obviously, Ty said you're missing a bunch of boys as well in terms of not doing their work and stuff like that. How important is doing your work and also playing football? Because obviously we've spoken, of course, to the academy manager as well coming in. He's saying if you don't do your work, you won't be able to play much. How important is it to just do your work there so you can play on the field today?
Yeah, the coaches emphasise as much as possible how important it is for our work to get done. So we try our best in the classroom, but on the pitch we try our best as well. So we're just giving 100% everywhere we go in.
You made a number of great runs down this right-hand side in particular. You also drove in the side multiple occasions, having effort, so that's where your goal come from. You just talk us through what's your plan behind that in terms of getting at defenders and trying to commit people.
I'd say focus on your first touch at first, and then just try and make the defender guess what you're doing and go at them as fast as possible. Sometimes slow them down, but go at them as fast as possible, make them guess, and obviously have the quality to do what you're doing.